Well, Pusha T publicly said that he doesn't agree with the things that Kanye said. He's no longer the president of good music. And
but where does good music? Where's good music's? Where's the president's office for good music at?
Yeah, I don't know. Good music has always been sort of I don't know. I mean, it's been a label, but I've always.
But why?
I've never really looked at it as a label. I've just looked at it as
at one point there was an office for good music. There was an office for good music.
All right,
in Def Jam, and the thing is just like, my thing is like, yo, I say it again. Now, when I said on the previous interview, I was disgusted. Right. In hindsight, right?
You said you were disgusted with Pusha T's stance on Kanye.
Right. I was disgusted, and let me clarify just in case there's any gray area. I was disgusted with the fact that he would go out and say, if you don't agree with him, that's cool. Right. He made it a point to go to the LA Times, use that stance as publicity after the Grammys the nominations were announced. And then further went to say that he was resigning as president. I'm going to tell everybody on this camera, right? What presidency? It was already done a while ago. Kanye hadn't been dealing with any artist as far as being on good music for at least since the pandemic, right? The last time anybody came out was Wyoming. The last person to come out was Tiana Taylor.
Right, Tiana Taylor, and I think the Nas album came out.
Right, and it was the Wyoming run. So let's I just want to be honest. America, I want to be honest in the courtroom. I'm in Vlad's courtroom, and I want to have a moment of clarity, right? In front of the jury. Right.
Sure. And listen, and I'll be honest with you too, because I've spoken about this publicly as well. I'm Jewish myself. Those comments bothered me. My grandfather lost 10 siblings to Nazis. I could have had a much bigger family if it wasn't for the Nazis.
Right.
So hearing, Kanye say, I love Hitler, Jews should get over the Holocaust, that type of thing, that bothered me, and that hurt me.
Let me ask you a question. Does anybody ever, not to say that you should, right? That's understandable. We are all human beings, right? But if we're going to have a conversation, let's have a real conversation for a second. Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever asked, in complete calm, why would a man who is on the Forbes list actually say that with the understanding, right? Not a notion, the understanding of the consequences of such dialogue. Has anybody thought to say why? Listen, you know. Listen, we're talking about one of the greatest minds in modern art, not just music. In modern art, a man who could sit here and figure out how to go from Nike, Louis Vuitton to his own fucking sneaker. He's not a special ed student.
Yeah.
Right? But we never got to why. You know what we got? You know what we got? I resigned from good music. That's what we got. We didn't get why. We never got why. It's not for me to tell the camera why, right? This is Kanye West life. I'm his man. All I said for me is that, that's my man. I ain't running on him, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever he wanted to disclose or not, that's at his discretion. That's not my business to tell. Understand? Yeah. Like at all. But I will say, as a person, for something that was in the public, listen, I have intelligence. From the outside looking in, for every person, right? Why? Just ask yourself why. Just ask yourself why.
Well, I mean, me being who I am and the relationships that I have, I've always had a good understanding why. And from people that I know that I'm close to that have also known Kanye for a very long time, decades.
Okay.
They've told me flat out that Kanye is bipolar and he doesn't get on his medication at times. And this is what ultimately happens.
So once again. So we're gonna, if we want to assess this as bipolar, so be it. If someone's answer, what can I do? I have to accept it, right? Right? But also, like I said, one of the greatest minds of all time. Not because that's my friend, not because I'm a yes man, based on the accomplishment of what that mind has done.
Right. No, the work speaks for itself.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, at one point, after all of this happened, after all this shit happened, and he was running around with Nick Fuentes and doing, all these various interviews, they came to us and said, Kanye wants to do an interview with Vlad TV. And I was very conflicted about this interview. And I remember me and Beanie Siegel just did an interview and we talked about this. My thing was like, okay, you know something? I am going to accept this interview request. And when I do sit down with Kanye, what I'm going to say is, I don't want to talk about all this shit that happened in the last few months. I want to actually talk about the accomplishments and the music and what you've actually accomplished. And I want to steer away from all this bullshit because ultimately, when we're all gone, no one's going to care about this stuff. The music is what's going to live on. You know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to actually focus on. Now, was Kanye actually going to allow me to actually do that, knowing the way Kanye is? Who knows? That
was your outlook. That was your game plan for if it was the land.
That was my game plan. And ultimately, he ended up doing the interview with the Proud Boys guy, and then he ended up canceling all the interviews afterwards. So it ultimately never happened. But if I were to sit down with Kanye, I'm not going to sit there and argue with him about Hitler and Jews and everything else like that, because that's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, like I said, like all I'm saying is, at least through asking questions, you can have dialogue. Not to say that not to say that it's gonna get the dialogue will get better, worse, or whatever. But if we never even have dialogue, then we're left to make assumptions, and then we cast judgment, and we do that's the road we go down. You know what I mean? And we have, only thing I'm trying to, my perspective and my point is that we have to definitely understand, if we're talking about, if we accolade someone in society, we can't just now if they make a turn, there's cause and effect for everything.